Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Watakuchi no nami wa Betty Jo Desu.
You practicing to be a stork?
Oh, I was just trying to learn a few Japanese expressions to make Nabucco feel at home.
Oh.
Konnichiwa. Hello.
Hello.
Watakuchi no nami wa Betty Jo Desu. My name is Betty Jo.
Your name's gonna be Mud if you don't finish carpet sweeping this hallway.
Yes, ma'am.
I sent Bobby Joe to get me some clean sheets. Where is she?
Downstairs, I guess.
Bobby Joe!
Konnichiwa! We're all trying to learn some Japanese.
According to those letters your pen pal Nabucco's been writing you all these years, she's going to understand your English much easier than your Japanese. Now, where's Billy Joe?
Billy Joe's taking a bath.
Billy Joe?
Your asho wasu isu haj imasu masuka?
What did she say?
When does the floor show start? That's what she said.
Hey.
Konnichiwa.
Betty Jo, could I get you to sew a button on this collar?
I'm sorry, Uncle Joe. I've got to finish sweeping.
Bobby Joe, would you...
I'm sorry, Uncle Joe. I have to help Mom now.
Well, Billy Joe, would you sew a button on my shirt for me?
Sayonara.
Hey, can I get a button sewed on this shirt? And give me a straight answer. In English.
No. Is that straight enough?
Uncle Joe, we have so much to do here before the train gets in.
How's it going to look? A girl comes all the way from Japan. And the first impression she gets of American manhood is that American womanhood don't sew no buttons on his shirt. Sarah Neuer.
Isn't she gorgeous? Beautiful. She sure is.
You sewed that button on too tight. I'm purpling into asphyxiation.
Billy Joe, go ahead. Say you're welcome in peace.
Betty Jo-san! Nabucco!
Looks like all that language study went to waste.
Oh, Nabucco, I'd like you to meet my family.
Oh, Betty Jo, it is not necessary to introduce me to them. I feel I have known them for years from the way you have described them in your letters. Your mother, the strict one.
Guess I'm not strict enough. Welcome.
And Bobby Jo-san, the worm in the book.
Bookworm.
And Billy Jo-san, The boy crazy one with the scattered brain.
Betty Joe! It lost something in the translation.
Uncle Joe! Oh, the lazy old dog. I know you anywhere.
Kate, I think you ought to make a rule to censor all outgoing foreign mail.
For you, Mrs. Bradley.
Oh, you didn't need to bring me anything.
My pleasure for allowing me to be a guest in your home.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Mom, why don't you try it on?
Huh? Yeah.
For my pen pal.
Thank you. Look, a real pearl.
It is a cultured pearl. They are grown in the sea near my home.
How do they grow pearls?
There's nothing to it. They get one of these here educated clams and they stuff a hunk of sand under his shell. It makes him so mad he squirts pearls at you. Ain't that right, Nabuki?
The young must not question the wisdom of the elders.
You girls hear that?
It's Uncle Joe. Bobby Joe-san, words of great wisdom from our great philosophers.
Oh, thank you so much. A parrot can repeat words of wisdom, but cannot understand them.
I read something like that once in a fortune cookie.
And for Billy Joe-san, to practice the art of flirtation.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And for Uncle Joe-san, to always hear happy sounds.
Ain't nothing wrong with my hearing.
That's a radio.
Oh. Hey, how about that? Pixley Hardware's got a sale on snail bait. Thanks a lot.
And for you, this.
We'll fasten it for you later.
Konnichiwa.
Mom, you look beautiful.
Like a most distinguished Japanese lady.
You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to wear it at the next meeting of the every other Wednesday afternoon discussion club. It'll give them something to discuss the Wednesday we're not discussing. Nabucco, have you ever had fried chicken before?
No, but I'm looking forward to it. Betty Joe has described the excellence of your ability to prepare it.
You see, I wrote some good things about you. Oh, strict one.
Help yourself.
Please, Uncle Joe-san first.
I've read that in Japan, men are always served first.
They make good radios there, too.
What do you plan to major in college?
I'm hoping to teach English in Japan.
Where are you going to teach?
Oh, there's a nice little school near my home.
I've heard that Lenmore College has a very nice English department. They don't have a very good football team.
Well, I don't think Nabucco will be going out for the football team. Uncle Joe, pass the peas. Uncle Joe?
I didn't know that.
Know what?
Pullman's emulsified oil's a sure cure for your root knob.
You been having trouble with root knob lately?
Of course not.
Then pass the peas.
Hey, this is interesting.
Uncle Joe, turn that thing off. It's not good manners.
There ain't nothing wrong with my manner.
Uncle Joe, you know better than to eat peas with a knife.
She is.
Is something wrong?
Am
Am I not eating correctly?
Of course you are.
I'm glad I asked. I was going to eat the peas with this, fork.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Well, the knife was considered correct by certain members of the older generation.
I must confess, I have never eaten with utensils like these before.
No kidding. What do you use?
Chopsticks?
Well, Nabucco, if you're going to go to an American college, I think you better learn how to use a knife and fork.
Let me show you.
Now, if there's anything else you want to know about, don't be ashamed to ask.
Yeah, you just follow my lead, and them college people think you was born and brung up here.
In a depressed area. Lights out, Miss Worm in the book.
Just a few more minutes, Mom. This book Nabucco brought me is fascinating.
Lights out. Flashlights, too. Night, Betty.
How do you like her, Mom?
I think she's a very nice girl.
Mom, I was wondering if tomorrow
It's late. Get to sleep.
Oh, but Mom, I just...
Good night. And that's final. From the strict one. Nabucco.
Come in, please.
Oh, my goodness, what are you doing sleeping on the floor?
This is the way we always sleep at home.
Well, try the bed. It's much more comfortable. Oh.
Oh, it is all right, Mrs. Bradley.
He's supposed to sleep on the floor. Now then, isn't that better than the hard floor?
Much better.
We're glad you came to visit us. Good night, child.
Good night.
What would you like to do today?
Whatever you have planned.
Why don't you take her around and show her where some of our important historical events took place?
Like what?
Well, you could take her down the creek and show her where Lem Walters busted his pole pulling in that 8-pound trout.
I know a real historical site you could show her.
What's that?
You cleaning up the backyard like you've been promising to do for the last 20 Saturdays.
Oh, Kate.
And when you're through, we'll put up a historical marker commemorating the event.
Hey, just a second. Here's something she might like to do. Henley's Garage in Pixley's giving away free balloons for every grease job.
The backyard.
Not a bad price for an Edsel. Oh, something wrong?
It is very strange to see you working, Mr. Cousin.
What do you mean by that?
In a Japanese household, it is the women who do all the physical work.
What do the men do?
Oh, they sit and talk and sometimes drink tea.
You know, I've been saving up my money for 30 years for a trip to Chicago. I might switch to Japan. And it brings blessed relief to people who've been suffering for years.
How wonderful.
All you gotta do is take a pill before going to bed, and you wake up the next morning full of pep and vigor.
Get me the name of those pills, and I'll buy you the large, lazy-type bottle. You mind telling me why you're loafing around while Nabucco does all the work?
It may look that way to your untraveled eye, but Nabuki was just showing me some local Japanese customs.
I was just telling Uncle Joe-san that in Japan, it is the women who do the work in the garden.
Ah.
Yeah, I didn't want her to get homesick.
How very thoughtful. You know, Nabucco, we have an American custom that covers this kind of situation.
Oh, what is it?
It's called hollerin'. Uncle Joe!
A picnic? You mean with ants and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
You've got rocks in your head.
Henry, Nabucco's a guest in this country. It would be a nice thing to do.
You want to do something nice? Tell Billy Joe that I have been waiting for her nearly a half hour.
Why do you always have to keep Henry waiting?
Betty Jo, take the advice of a mature woman. Never be on time for a date.
Oh, why not?
It makes you look like you're eager to go out with him.
Then why did you make a date with him?
Because I'm eager to go out with him.
I don't understand that at all.
Well, you will when you grow up. I think I'll let him stew another 10 minutes.
Betty told me how you've been writing to each other all this time.
Yes, she is a wonderful girl.
I hope she doesn't grow up like Billy Joe. This is a record. She's been keeping me waiting 35 minutes.
Perhaps something is wrong.
Oh, no, she does it all the time.
She does?
I'm getting a crick in my back.
Oh, please.
Oh,
That better?
yeah.
Your feet.
Thanks.
Perhaps you would like some tea.
Crazy.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, I'd love some.
What time is it?
8:32. 3 more minutes.
Oh, thanks.
Cookies?
Hi, Henry.
Hi.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, we're going to be late for the show.
Show? What show?
Henry!
Gee, I'm sorry, Nabucco. We have to be going. Gee, thanks for the tea and everything.
My pleasure.
Henry!
So long. Hey, Betty, I just got a great idea. Why don't we take Nabucco on a picnic tomorrow?
Henry!
May I serve you some more potato salad, Henry-san?
I just love some more potato salad.
I just love some more potato salad.
Are there any pickles over there in Nabucco?
Are there any pickles over there, Nabucco?
I'd like another slice of bread, please.
He's had 6 slices already.
Henry!
Huh?
Do you suppose I could have another piece of chicken?
Sure. There's plenty. Help yourself.
Why, of all the nerve, did you hear
What's
what...
the matter with you two?
You and your pen pal.
What's she doing?
Listen, it took me 2 years to get Henry to shape up, and she's ruining everything in 1 hour.
More butter?
Oh, lots more.
Henry never looked at me that way.
Maybe he would if you waited on him a little more. What are you, some kind of radical or something?
Getting used to sleeping in a real bed?
Yes. I must admit, it is very comfortable.
Oh, there are all sorts of things in America that are kind of nice as soon as you get used to them.
I liked the picnic today, but there was one thing I do not understand. Billy and Bobby set apart from their men. Is this an American custom?
Mm-hmm. It's known as having your nose out of joint. You see, Bobby and Billy were upset because you were waiting on the fellas. And that's not the way we do it here. Our men are trained to wait on us.
They like this?
Oh, we never asked them. You see, it used to be that women did all the work and the men just sat around shouting orders. Then about 100 years ago, the women of this country got together and they started shouting back.
Oh, I have read about that. The War of Independence.
Well, no, it wasn't. But you're going to be studying at an American college with American boys who've been brought up in the American tradition of waiting on themselves. But if you start waiting on them, you're going to tear down all the work we women have done.
But I have been brought up to serve a man. I do not know how to do otherwise.
Well, it's just a matter of knowing a few of the basic rules. The first one of which is nothing makes a man feel more like a man than helping a helpless woman.
Kate.
In the backyard, Uncle Joe. Put the basket down.
But
Your first lesson.
Kate, have I got time for a nap before supper?
Oh, sure, but, Nabucco, didn't you have something you wanted to ask Uncle Joe?
What?
Well, would you mind carrying the basket of laundry into the house for me?
Well,
It is too heavy for me.
It's too heavy for me, too.
But I'm sure it would be like lifting a feather for a big, strong man like you.
Yeah, it is kind of like.
Now for your first lesson in eyelash batting.
Uncle Joe-san, would you mind getting me a glass of water?
What?
Please? I mean, please?
Okay.
Would you mind getting me one, too, please?
What's the matter? You got something in your eye?
Catching on real quick, Nabuki. Couple of more lessons, and you'll be able to take your finals.
8 o'clock. They're a half hour late. When they said 7:30, we shouldn't have gotten here until 8.
I want you to get the treatment from Nabucco. Now remember, just complain about how uncomfortable that chair is, and she'll bring you a pillow.
You're putting me on.
No, you saw our action at the picnic. That was nothing. Just wait till I ask for some tea. Just stand back and watch the oolong fly.
It's un-American.
But it is so un-Japanese to keep a man waiting.
No, you listen to Mom. She made me what I am today.
Thanks. I guess.
Operator 32K reporting. The enemy is below and chomping at the bit.
Your finals are starting. Come on. Good luck. We'll give her a 10-minute start, and then you can go down.
You know, I don't think this is such a good idea.
Yeah. You give her 2 tea bags in 10 minutes, and our name's liable to be mud.
Konbanwa.
Oh, hi, Nabucco. We've been waiting for you. It was a beautiful day today, wasn't it?
Beautiful.
Oh, say, this chair is pretty uncomfortable. My back is killing me.
Oh, that is too bad.
It really hurts.
Perhaps it would feel better if you had a pillow for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I need, a pillow.
Henry-san, would you get a pillow for Roy-san?
Me?
My chair is uncomfortable, too. Would you get a pillow for me, Henry-san?
Huh?
Please?
Sure. Here. How's that?
Fine. Although it would be more comfortable if I could put my feet up on something.
Hey, Roy, the footstool.
I thought you said...
Oh, I thought you would get it for me, Henry-san. You are so strong.
Sure. I'll get it.
Thank you. Oh, I'm forgetting my manners. Would you like some tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, we sure would.
Oh, the kettle is on the stove, the tea bag's on the cupboard, and the cups are on the table.
You heard her, Roy.
I thought you said...
Said what?
Nothing. Nothing. I'll get it.
Oh, I would have a piece of lemon with mine.
Go on down, girls, and tell Nabucco she graduated with flying colors.
May I have some lemonade, please?
I'd love some too, please.
Well, I think Nabucco's going to get along just fine in America now.
Kate, I don't know whether you did the right thing teaching her the things you did.
Well, I didn't want those fellas at college taking advantage of her.
Yeah. But it was kind of nice having her do those thoughtful little things.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I didn't even have to ask her to do nothing. She seemed to know what I want even before I did. Wouldn't hurt American women to try to give it a little of that treatment.
Yeah. I just might try it someday. Sayonara.
been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Pounds of rice,
2 pounds of rice.
box of dog biscuits. 1 box.
1 box of dog biscuits.
Did I say that we needed raisins?
Raisins?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You planning on coming shopping with me?
No.
Then who's going to translate this list for Sam?
Can't you read my writing?
I can read it. I just don't know what it says. 1 brisket of kabubbles.
1 basket of crab apples.
Fill pens of flavor.
5 pounds of flour.
2 bricks of dang brashers.
2 boxes of dog biscuits.
I told you 1 brick of dang brashers. You know something? The further you go in school, the worse your penmanship gets. Now you copy that over until it's readable.
Yes, ma'am.
Cheerfully.
Yes, ma'am.
Mom,
Billy Joe, I thought you left an hour ago.
the cannonball hasn't even gotten here yet, and I told Henry I'd meet him in front of the Pixley Emporium at 11 o'clock sharp.
Henry will wait.
For anybody.
Why does the cannonball always have to be late when I'm in a hurry?
Or maybe Charlie and Floyd stopped to spike in a rail. They found one loose the other day. It's a lucky thing they were going slow.
Even when they're going fast, they're going slow. Where are they?
Reel her all the way in, Floyd. We got to get her rolling.
I sure wish we could fish another 10 minutes.
Well, we can't. We got to pick up Billy Joe, you remember?
Hey, wait a second. I didn't give you the start signal. Is that 2 clangs or 3?
Don't you remember?
Of course I remember. I invented this, didn't I?
You invented the clothesline?
No,
Oh, you invented the cowbell.
of course not.
Well, then just what did you invent?
I invented tying the clothesline to the cowbell so's I could signal you from the coach.
That's some invention. Ha!
Yeah? Well, they laughed at Alexander Graham's bell, but without it, nobody'd heard the telephone ring.
All right, Edison, give me the start signal.
Okay.
3 clangs is for stopping.
That's 4 clangs.
That's a lunch signal.
Well, that'll get you stopped.
2 clangs is for starting.
I know.
Well, why didn't you do it?
I like to see your jowls jump when you get mad.
I heard it.
Train's coming.
Finally. Mom, I wish we could move somewhere where we didn't have to depend on that dirty, old, unreliable old thing.
Oh, now hold on, Billy Joe. All the things you say about the cannonball may be true, including unreliable, except when you need it.
Okay, Mom.
Like the times that raced Doc Stewart out here to bring you 3 girls into the world.
Mom, it's outlived its usefulness.
As far as Doc Stewart coming out here for the purpose I just mentioned, yes. But that whistle is still a mighty cheery sound to the folks living in this valley. Calls the kids to school, tells the farmer when he's coming to pick up its crops, and hoots out good news and bad.
Mom, you're just sentimental.
Well, if I am, there are a lot of other folks living around here who are, too.
I don't know anybody that doesn't love that little train.
I hate that little train. I hate it. I simply hate it.
Now. Take it easy, Mr. Bedlow.
Well, I can't help it, Doctor. I hate that train. I have nightmares about it every night.
Oh? Well, tell me about it.
Well, it's horrible. I'm sound asleep. Suddenly I hear the cannonballs whistle. Whoo! Whoo! And I feel a cold wind sweeping over me. I try to move, but I'm tied to the front of the locomotive. The track races toward me. I yell for the engineer to stop the train. Stop! Stop! But the engineer isn't running the train. It's my arch enemy, Kate Bradley. I look ahead and I see something. The rails come loose. We're gonna crash. We're gonna crash! Stop! Stop! Help me!
Mr. Bedlow.
Please!
Mr. Bedlow! Would you mind?
Oh. I'm sorry, Doctor.
Oh, that's all right.
Why do I have these nightmares?
There's a very simple explanation. You want to destroy the Hooterville Cannonball in Cape Bradley.
Well, that's not a nightmare. Putting the cannonball out of existence is the sweetest dream of my life.
Then why haven't you done it?
Because the president of our railroad, Norman B. Curtis, likes the cannonball. There's a nut for you. He's threatened me with immediate dismissal and loss of my pension if I ever do it any harm.
Well, there's your answer. Mm-hmm. You want to destroy the cannonball. But you know that if you do, the cannonball will destroy you. Hence, the nightmare.
What can I do about it?
Lose your hate for that train.
How?
By learning to love it.
Love that miserable...
That beautiful little train. Keep saying over and over to yourself, I love that train. I love that train.
You see, Kate, the reason I invented this device, I've always been worried about what would happen if I was back here and Charlie was in the cab and he had to get in touch with him if there's an emergency.
Well, what kind of an emergency?
Pretty hard to be specific. This whole rolling junkyard's an emergency.
Something serious like a man's hat blowing out the window. Hey, that's my hat. I says to myself, Floyd Smoot, what would you do if a thing like that happened?
Stop a train.
My exact words. You're going to have to stop this train, Floyd, I said to myself.
Will you stop this train?
Hey, keep your hands off of that. I'm supposed to give the emergency signal. Hey!
Holy smoke, the coach must have come uncoupled.
Get me out of this.
Where's the dog? Oh, my goodness! How many times have I told you not to sit by an open window?
Holy smoke. Floyd, Kate, come here. I want to show you something. Joe, it must have been the hand of Providence that took your hat and blew it out the window.
No, it was a hand of Floyd Smoot. Not that I want to take any credit from anyone.
Well, whoever it was, let's just be thankful.
Amen. Now, let's get the tools out of the box and get this rail spiked, huh?
I'll be back in the coach.
Ain't you going to help us?
I'm a passenger.
Oh, you got a ticket?
No.
Then you ain't a passenger. Get to work.
Not only am I suing the CNFW Railroad $20 for the loss of a brand new hat, but...
Uncle Joe, you paid $8 for that hat 5 years ago.
He paid $3 10 years ago.
I never save sales slips. Let's see now. Where were we?
Suing the railroad for a brand new 10-year-old hat.
You ought to pay them $2 for losing that hat. You got better ones.
But that was my favorite. In addition to suing you for my favorite hat, I'm suing you $4.50 for 3 hours of labor at $1.50 an hour for repairing the tracks.
Labor? All you did was stand around telling Floyd and Charlie what to do.
Well, I ought to ask them for more money. A foreman gets higher wages.
Well, it seems to me if you're going to write any kind of a letter, it ought to be to have them replace all that old track.
Yeah, we ought to make Bedloe cough up some money for that.
That'd be a good way to shut the cannonball down for good.
Well, somebody at that railroad ought to know what's going on, or there's going to be a bad wreck.
Maybe I should write a personal and private letter to the one friend the cannonball has at the CNFW.
Who?
The president, Norman P. Curtis.
Come in.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, Mr. Bedloe. I was just putting your name over Mr. Curtis's as you'd instructed me to do.
I told you to make it permanent.
But, Mr. Bedloe, Mr. Curtis is having only a minor operation.
Well, let's not give up hope so easily. Have you read Kate Bradley's letter?
No, sir. That's addressed to Mr. Curtis, and it's marked personal and private. I don't think you should have even...
Evans, you're not paid to think. You're paid to grovel. That's better. Well, it seems that the Hooterville branch line is in desperate need of new track. Otherwise, the cannonball might be wrecked and put out of commission forever. That'd mean the economic ruin of everybody in that valley. Kate Bradley would lose the Shady Rest Hotel.
Oh, sir, I bet your heart is bursting with joy. What fiendish plot are you hatching to hasten the cannonball's demise?
I'm going to save it.
What?
Well, Evans, you see before you the new Bedloe. I'm going to write Kate Bradley and tell her she's got nothing to worry about. That I'm taking immediate action to remove that old, dangerous track.
Oh, that's wonderful, sir. I'm sure it's exactly what Mr. Curtis would have done.
Well, Evans, sitting behind the desk of that good man and smoking his cigars, using his electric razor, some of his goodness must have rubbed off on me. I love that train. I love that little train.
Keep her down, Betty Joe. Some of the worst tracks along here.
I will.
Floyd, keep your eye peeled for bomb track.
Okay.
Betty Joe, you better be ready to big hole her if Floyd jangles.
Right. You know, I better signal Mom that we got a guest for the hotel.
Yeah.
Let me see that letter, Evans.
It's for Mrs. Bradley. May I sit down?
No. How come Bedloe opened the letter Kate sent to Curtis?
Well, I told you, Mr. Curtis is sick.
What, Bedloe?
May I please sit down?
Ah! Them seats is all reserved.
For whom?
For people that don't like Bedloe. You're lucky you even got standing room.
Big holer, Betty Joe.
What happened?
We found your hat.
What'll I do with these?
You might try gluing them together.
The psychiatrist told Mr. Bedloe the only way he could stop having those terrible nightmares was by learning to love that train.
So he sat right down and wrote Kate a letter saying he'd fix the tracks.
Yes.
Ha!
You know something, Uncle Joe? It's just possible that those nightmares frightened Mr. Bedloe enough to make him change.
Into what?
A good man.
Oh, believe me, Mrs. Bradley, he loves that train. He loves that train.
Love that train. Love that train.
Bedloe's coming up the path.
What are you doing?
Locking the door so he can't get in.
Unlock it.
What, Tikky?
Uncle Joe, if Mr. Bedloe is trying to be nice, the least we can do is meet him halfway. And that goes for you, too. No growling, no treeing. I mean it. Uncle Joe, we're going to treat him nice.
Kate, you're making a mistake.
Hold it, boy.
Come in, Mr. Bedlow.
I thought there might be a bucket of water over that door.
Mr. Bedlow, how are you?
Fine.
Good to see you, Mr. Bedlow. Darn that Floyd and his stupid ideas.
We got your room all ready, the finest in the house. Take Mr. Bedlow's bag up.
This is the Shady Rest Hotel, isn't it?
Of course.
How come that dog out there didn't try to bite me? Mr. Carson's carried my bag, and you're so happy to see me.
We're giving you the red carpet treatment.
You've given me that before, only you jerked it out from under me.
After reading your letter and the wonderful thing you're going to do for the branch line, I figured that if it was possible for you to change, it's possible for us to change, too.
Yes, but...
Mr. Evans said you love the train, and if you love the train, we love you. Your favorite, chicken and dumplings for dinner.
Love that train. I love that little train. I love that train.
Let go! Let go!
I caught you, huh? Trying to steal my shoes, were you?
Oh, no, sir. I was going to shine them for you and put them back inside. It was going to be a surprise.
Yes, I imagine me quite a surprise to put on those shoes and find them filled with cold mush.
Mr. Bedlow, I was going to shine them.
Well, why would you do a nice thing like that for me?
Because you're going to do such a nice thing for the people of this valley by repairing the track. Mr. Bedlow, you're a nice man.
Well,
We love that train.
Love that train.
Mr. Evans, aren't you going to eat breakfast?
Oh, I haven't got time. If you don't mind, I'd like to borrow your handcar to go into Hooterville to send this telegram for Mr. Bedlow.
Oh, sure.
Let me see that.
Uncle Joe.
He's not borrowing our handcar to do Bedlow's dirty work. Take a look at this, Kate.
Road Superintendent, CNFW Railroad. Dispatch track gang to Hooterville immediately to begin track work. Homer Bedlow.
Pretty slick, huh? Where's the other telegram?
What other one?
The one you're really going to send, telling him to ignore the first one, which you didn't send, because Bedlow knew I'd get a look at this.
Mr. Carson, this is the only telegram Mr. Bedlow's sending. I should think it would convince you of his intentions.
You don't have to convince me of Bedlow's intentions. I know what they are. He wants to get rid of the train and turn this whole valley into a depressed area.
Uncle Joe, suspicion is the root of all evil.
Well, it ain't like him to do nothing for us. And it ain't like you to be taken in by him, Kate.
After all the things you said about Mr. Bedlow, you're going to feel mighty small when he proves you're wrong.
Well, maybe so. But until he does, I ain't getting measured for no size 6 suit.
Mr. Bedlow, breakfast in bed.
Breakfast in bed?
Can I come in?
Huh? Yeah, I suppose so.
Morning, Mr. Bedlow.
What's all this about?
Oh, we always do this for our special guests when we really like them.
Thank you.
If there's anything else you need, you just holler.
Pooch, come here. Taste this.
Kate.
What's the matter?
Kate, I just went into town. You were wrong about Bedlow. Evans did send that telegram, just like I said he would.
You mean the other one?
What other one?
The one he sent telling him to ignore the first one because he didn't send...
No, the one Evans showed you. About sending for the track gang.
Well, that one. Well, I thought that was the one you thought he wouldn't send.
That was the one I let you think I thought he wasn't going to send.
Then you knew that Bedlow was on the level all the time.
Well, of course. The minute he walked into the hotel, I knew he was a changed man.
I don't understand why I didn't think so, too.
You owe me an apology. You owe him one, too.
Mrs. Bradley. While I was shaving, somebody stole my suit. And that's it.
I was pressing it for you.
Mr. Bedlow, there ain't nothing we wouldn't do to make you feel at home.
You didn't burn a hole in it?
Mr. Bedlow, suspicion is the root of all evil. We like you.
Oh, shut up. Now, see here, Mrs. Bradley, what are you trying to do to me? From the moment I walked in here, there's been one intolerable thing after another. Courtesy, kindness, consideration. No man can only stand so much fiendish torture. Now, you lay your cards on the table, and I'll lay mine on the table.
All right. I've been gaslighting you into revealing what you're really up to.
Very well, I issued an order to have the old tracks removed.
With never a thought of replacing them with new ones.
Right.
Well, certainly glad we understand each other again.
Now I really feel at home.
Kate, I told you this miserable cuss was up to no good. Sending them phony telegrams.
But I thought you wanted me to think that you thought...
Kate, when you're wrong, admit you're wrong. All right, Bedloe. What's your next dirty move?
When that track gang gets here tomorrow, they're going to start pulling up the tracks, and the Hootable Cannonball will never run again. I hate that train. I hate that little train.
Just a minute, Homer. Sam went up to the county seat, got the judge to issue this little paper. It's an injunction preventing you from touching those tracks.
Oh? County Superior Court, eh? Well, Mrs. Bradley, knowing what a worthy adversary you are, I had the foresight to go to the state Supreme Court and have them issue an injunction against your injunction. I'll see you tomorrow when they start pulling up the first track.
Anybody know where I could sell a second-hand conductor's uniform?
It was second-hand when you bought it.
Charlie, I'm never going to get to drive the Cannonball again.
There, honey.
Love that train. Love that train. I love that train. You've lost your nice little smile, haven't you? What's everybody so glum about? I've helped put dozens of small branch lines out of business. You'll get over it. You'll soon move away to another desolate area and find new ways to eke out a miserable existence. There's no cause for despair.
At least we'll be able to sleep at night.
I'll sleep.
But you'll get one of those nightmares again.
Why don't you just pack up and leave?
When the last rusty rail is removed.
Mr. Bedloe, I wish I had put cold mush in your shoes.
It just isn't right for the Cannonball to stop running without folks getting a chance to say goodbye to her. Isn't it usual for canceled railroads to have some kind of a last run?
Yeah, folks snip up the seats for souvenirs and take pictures.
How can we have a last run if Mr. Bedloe's going to start tearing up the tracks tomorrow morning?
Oh, well, I could postpone the destruction long enough for that.
Don't do us any favors, Bedloe.
I think that's a nice gesture.
If there's one thing I'm not, it's a sore winner.
If you like, you can bring your camera and snap pictures.
Yes, I could record the passing of a revolting piece of Americana.
And we'll see to it that you get the picture-taking place of honor.
Let me go! Let me go! Ooh, that's hot.
You ought to get some pretty good pictures of the broken rail from up here, Homer.
Yeah, we just hope you're around to see them develop.
Mrs. Bradley, you can't frighten me.
I know. But in case we do and you change your mind about fixing the track, just jingle me in the cab and I'll stop if I can.
You!
I'm the engineer.
Let me go! Let me go! Mrs. Bradley, stop this train!
That's what Mr. Evans said I did in Homer's Nightmare.
Slow down.
No need to worry about this stretch of track. Sound as $1. Of course, Bedloe don't know that.
Help! Help! Stop the train! Stop the train!
You gonna fix the track?
I promise! I promise!
You better stop her, Charlie.
Oh, let's bluff him a little longer.
Yeah.
No, we can't bluff much longer. Take a look.
Holy smoke!
It's a good thing Mr. Curtis got out of the hospital in time to back Mom up and make Mr. Bedloe back down.
Yeah, Mr. Curtis sure got us some fast action.
I wonder how long it'll take the track gang to repair all that rickety track.
Well, all told, there's about 20 miles it needs going over, but we got a good foreman on the job.
Swing that hammer, John Henry.
Now, faster, Bedloe.
Yeah, to this tempo.
Junction.
This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Conductor, what did he hit?
Nothing.
Is this Pixley?
Does it look like Pixley?
I don't know. I've never been to Pixley.
Conductor has to answer more silly questions. Hey, that looks all right.
I ain't interested in how they look to you. The only opinion that counts is Kate's.
Size is right. It was good.
If you don't stop. Shh, Kate's concentrating.
It's perfect.
Hooray! Floyd, let's pick apples. Hey.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Joe. Hey, you want to be more careful, you big ox. Crying out loud.
I'm sorry, Uncle Joe. I didn't know you were there.
What's going on?
Oh, the same thing that goes on every year about this time. The apples are just right for bachelor butter.
I knew it had to do with getting something free to get them 2 big tubs of lard moving that fast.
Oh, they look forward to it.
Kate, it ain't right. Charlie and Floyd, Sam Drucker, Doc, and all the rest of them imposing on you.
Well, they're not imposing on me. You know something? I think I enjoy making bachelor butter for them as much as they enjoy eating it. And you enjoy it, too.
Yeah, but in the whole 20 years you've been doing it, you've never seen me making a fool out of myself. Climbing all over Ben's trees and picking apples, lugging them up here, bringing you empty jars to fill.
No, I never have.
You want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got self-respect.
Oh, that's the reason.
Yeah, I'm a bachelor like they are, too. But you don't catch me playing on your sympathies, making you slave in the kitchen all day, neglecting your other work, just so I can have a few jars of homemade preserves. Kate, why do you do it?
Well, them being bachelors, they don't have any women folk to home cook for them. And besides, it's a way of showing my appreciation for all the nice things they do for me.
What do they do for you?
Well, Floyd and Charlie take the girls to school. They run me into town. They steer salesmen to the hotel. Doc Stewart never sends me a bill. And Sam lets me run up my credit way beyond good sense.
But outside of that, what do they do for you?
Well, that's going to take a little thought.
Conductor, this train is going backwards.
How about that? And some folks accuse us of running an old-fashioned railroad.
Yeah, but we're going to Hooterville. I'm supposed to be in Pixley at 10 o'clock.
Then don't travel during bachelor butter season.
Doc, did you hear the whistle? Yeah. Yeah. Well, grab all your empty jars and come a-running. Excuse me.
Say, do you have any idea how much longer we're going to have to be here?
Just guessing, I'd say 3 more bushels.
Conductor, I have to be in Pixley this morning. I'll be lucky if I get there late tonight.
Or early tomorrow morning, depending on how soon Kate finishes the bachelor butter. If I was you, I'd depend on staying over at the Shady Rest Hotel.
This is sheer idiocy. Disrupting a railroad to pick apples.
Mister, any more of that radical talk, and you're going to be put off of this train.
Boys, now stop that. Instead of squabbling, just tell Uncle Joe how many jars you got, and he'll see that you get back what's due you.
Yeah, just line up right here. All right, Sam, how many you got?
22.
22? There won't be no butter for the rest of us.
Well, 12 is Doc's.
Why didn't he come himself?
He had to take out Lou Dawson's appendix.
Lou had all year to have it took out.
You know that bachelor butter your mother makes must be something pretty special to cause all that excitement. I wish some of our food products did.
What kind of firm do you travel for?
HDL Food Products. We put out all sorts of canned goods.
Betty Joe, get your sisters.
Bobby Joe! Billy Joe! Mom wants us! Woman's work is never done.
I thought I put the paraffin on the top shelf. Now, when the alarm goes off in 16 minutes, the apples will be boiled enough.
Mom, how can you tell if that thing's set for the right time?
I've been making bachelor butter with this clock since before you girls were born. And when I set it for 16 minutes, it goes off in 16 minutes. Most of the time.
Hold it.
What's the matter?
I never saw such sloppy rockers in my life. You should rock to and fro together.
Ain't we?
No. When I'm froing, you're toing. When I'm toing, you're froing. Well, let's do it right. 1, 2, 3.
This sure is a strain every year.
Kate should be sieving the apples by now.
She's past sieving.
Not by railroad time.
Smells to me like you're just heating up a cider.
Oh, cider's boiled down enough, Billy Joe.
Mom, how much longer?
No, just keep stirring. There we go. Bobby Joe, sugar. There, that should be sweet enough.
But how do you know without tasting it?
If I tasted everything I cooked, I'd be as big as this stove. And you girls better remember that when you get married and you start cooking for your husbands.
Yeah, I suppose if you put on too much weight, romance goes right out the door.
Mm-hmm. And you can't squeeze out after it. Now for the ground clothes.
Seriously, Mom, I've watched you every time you made this recipe, and I can't figure it out. How much sugar did you really put in?
5 scoops and a sprinkle, and be accurate.
Accurate?
Yeah, accurate.
Floyd?
What's the matter?
Joe heard something.
I think I heard the oven door open.
That was the oven.
Get a spoon, Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe's getting a spoon.
Kate's gonna taste it.
How many years you been freeloading bachelor butter?
20 or so.
Then you ought to know the first thing Kate does to find out if it's thick enough.
A-okay.
Thickness is right. Now they're gonna taste it.
Joe?
It got past Kate.
Bobby Joe.
Sounds like Bobby Joe's tasting. Sounds like Betty Jo's getting in her licks. Somebody else is tasting. It's more than tasting, it's kind of slurping.
Yummy.
Bobby Joe?
Delicious, Mom.
Kate's polling the jury.
Betty Joe?
Dreamy.
How about you? I now declare this year's batch of bachelor butter ready for eating.
You know, Mrs. Bradley, after tasting your bachelor butter, I can see what all the excitement was about last night.
Well, thank you, Mr. Crandall. Would you like to have a jar take home with you?
Well, that would be wonderful.
Wait a minute. You a bachelor?
No, I'm not.
Then that'll be $1.
Uncle Joe.
You know the rule, Kate. Free to bachelors if they provide their own jar. I don't suppose you got your own jar.
No.
And that'll be $1.25.
In spite of what Uncle Joe says, you may have a jar with my compliments.
Well, actually, I'd like 2 jars.
Boy, Charlie and Floyd could take free loading lessons from him.
Uncle Joe, Mr. Crandall is our guest. You can have as many jars as you want.
2 will be fine. I have an idea about this bachelor butter.
It's delicious. I've never tasted anything like it.
You agree with Kimberly Stevens?
Yes, I certainly do.
Gentlemen, do you think we can produce this commercially?
If Mrs. Bradley will show us how she makes it, we'll have it in production in a month.
Good. I'll write Mrs. Bradley immediately and make an offer. Pardon me. You see, Mrs. Bradley gave me this personally.
And the enclosed check for $250.
$250? Wow.
Is to evidence our good faith upon delivery and satisfactory preparation of your bachelor butter recipe, we will pay you an additional $250.
That's $500.
Please advise us if this is acceptable, and we will arrange transportation to our factory for you and hotel accommodations.
Gee, well, you're going to accept the offer, aren't you, Mom?
Well...
Hey, hold on a minute. Let me see the check. Who is this fellow Jenkins that signed it?
Well, it says right here he's the comptroller.
Yeah, but how do you know that's his signature? He should have sent along some identification. You know, you can't be too careful, Kate.
Oh, I'm sure it's all right.
What are you going to do, Mom?
I gotta make some more of the stove polish. This is the last of it.
I mean about the offer.
You're going to go.
Of course she is.
How can I go and leave you girls in the hotel?
Uncle Joe will be here.
I ought to go along with you and see if they don't pull no fast ones.
They said they'd only send Mom's transportation.
Probably afraid to have me come. I reckon that Crandall told him about my shrewd reputation.
Well, I don't know what to do.
Gosh, Mom, all that money?
Oh, yeah, Mom, you've got to go. I know. Let's put it to a family vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Wait a minute. There's still one member of the family who hasn't voted yet. What do you think?
Now it's unanimous.
How do you get a jar of bachelor butter?
I gave it to him. After all, he's a bachelor. Well, aren't you?
And you've never written down the recipe, huh?
I never write down any of my recipes. Oh, what do I have to wear this for? I brought my own apron.
Well, we have to work under the most sanitary of conditions.
My apron is as clean as this.
What we have to do, Mrs. Bradley, is make up a sample batch of your bachelor butter, then we'll record the ingredients and their exact proportions.
Okay.
Now, what do you need first?
Well, a kettle.
How many gallons?
Oh, about, so many.
How's this?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's about right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what is the first step?
We gotta boil the water.
How many liters?
No liters. Just water and apples.
A liter is 1.0567 quarts.
Oh, quarts! Why'd you say so?
I'm sorry. How many quarts of water do you use?
You fill the pot to the top of the dent.
What then?
The dent that's been in it ever since the train hit it.
The train?
Yeah, the day of the picnic. Uncle Joe left it stand in the middle of the tracks loaded with soda pop, and Charlie nudged it with the cowcatcher.
Now, just where was this dent?
Well, right about there.
See?
Oh.
Right about there.
Well, it isn't as deep as the one the train made, but it'll do. Come on.
All right.
Now that we've washed the apples, we gotta cut them in quarters.
I see.
And then when the water boils, we dump them in and add the sugar.
How much sugar?
Well, it depends on how tart the apples are.
Well, how do you determine that?
By the pucker test.
I beg your pardon.
Well, you bite into the apple, and you see how much your mouth puckers, and then you know how much sugar to use. Well, you see, this is a 2-scoop and a sprinkle pucker. A little more. That's right. Now, this is a 3-scoop and a smidgen batch. And this here's a 5-scooper and a dab.
Mrs. Bradley, we're going to have to be a little more scientific than that. Measure the tartness by instrument.
You mean you got some kind of gadget that makes sour faces?
Now, you put the apples through the sieve, boil down the cider, and add it to the puree. Now, what's the next step?
Seasoning. I'll need nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon, and ground cloves.
Here you are.
Oh.
Now, you add these in any special order?
Well, I usually start with the ground cloves.
And how much do you use?
Well, let's see now. This was a scoop and a half in a smidgen batch, about a half a jar.
A quart jar?
No, Ningeldorf mayonnaise jar.
How big is a it?
Well, Ingeldorf always uses the same size. It's bigger than a small relish jar, but smaller than a medium-sized pickle jar.
Maybe we can pick one up.
Oh, I doubt it. Ingeldorf's been out of business for years.
Maybe you could kind of guess at it.
Well, I could try. But it won't be as accurate as if I had my Ingeldorf jar here.
Now, before you season the puree, hadn't we better set the oven? How many degrees Fahrenheit do you bake it at?
I never degreed it. When the oven's right, I just stick the puree in.
Well, you must have some way of measuring how hot it is.
Oh, sure.
Well, now we're getting somewhere.
Oh, I always know when the oven is right because the dog usually rolls over on his back and sleeps with his paws in the air. It isn't very good, is it?
Frankly, Mrs. Bradley, it isn't up to the sample that Mr. Crandall brought in.
Well, how could it be? Cooking in here is like cooking in the operating room at the county hospital. You know, you might keep germs out of here, but you sure don't let any friendliness in. And how can I cook on the stove like that? Can't wear my own apron. I can't do this.
Now, take it easy, Mrs. Bradley. We never expect things to turn out exactly right the first time.
It's not going to turn out right the second time, the third time, or any time, Mr. Crandall. I just can't cook under these conditions. I gotta have my own pots, my own stove, my own dog.
Easy, easy, watch it.
If you're not satisfied with the way we're doing this job, we'll be glad to let you take over.
I gotta get the rest of this stuff on case list. See, there's pots, sieve, Ingeldorf mayonnaise jar. I know they should have gone along. She's probably ruined that whole $500 deal I dickered up for her. As soon as you boys get that stove loaded on the train, you come back up and I'll have the rest of the stuff loaded ready to take down.
Have it ready for us to haul down. What does he think? What's the matter with you?
Stove's resting on my foot.
Well, for crying out loud.
Why didn't you say so?
'Cause you always holler at me when I interrupt the conversation.
Dented kettle, sieve, clock, Engeldorf mayonnaise jar, dog. Well, I guess that's everything. Now, if one of you fellas will fill that kettle up to the dent, we'll get to boiling. Oh, Mr. Kimberly, are you sure that stovepipe's fixed now?
Yes, it's fitted right into the air conditioning duct. Now, if you need any more wood, we still have half of Mr. Crandall's desk chair and a hat rack.
I don't think we'll need it. Stove's starting to warm up, all right.
How old is this stove, anyway?
Oh, it's been in my family for 65 years.
How do you keep it looking so new?
Rub it down twice a week with my stove polish.
There's the water. Now, what's next?
Gotta get started with the apples. Okay, Billy, Mr. Kimberly, start tossing.
Boys at MIT could only see me now.
Bobby Joe usually does the quartering, but I didn't want to take the girls out of school.
Now, this is exactly what goes on in your home when you make bachelor butter, Mrs. Bradley, huh?
Not quite. There's just one more thing. Okay, fellas, start rocking. Now, as soon as this boils down, we'll make the puree, spice it up, and stick it in the oven.
Is the oven hot enough yet?
Not yet.
Hey, fellas, we ain't rocking together.
It don't make no difference. Rock freehand.
I sure feel silly sitting out here in a hallway rocking.
I do, too. But we're doing it for Kate.
Well, the puree's done. Now all we gotta do is pour it in the crock and stick it in the oven.
Is the oven hot enough?
It's perfect.
Hold it. I think I heard the oven door.
Thank goodness. Now we can get out of here.
Ain't we gonna listen at the door like we always do?
What for?
Well?
That's pretty good.
No, it isn't good at all. Sorry, Mr. Crandall. Just isn't gonna work.
I don't understand it, Mrs. Bradley. We brought everything you asked for, the stove, your pots, your dog, your friends.
All except the most important thing, the anticipation.
What?
Yeah, the fun the fellas have looking forward to my bachelor butter every year. You know, watching the apples turn just right, picking them, squabbling over whose jar is whose. Me and the girls trying to make every batch the best. Well, those are the things that are missing in this.
I think I understand, Mrs. Bradley. We could probably come pretty close to making your bachelor butter at the factory, but it would always lack that one essential ingredient you give it, love.
Yeah, it's just about the size of it. I'm sorry. Come on, Fahrenheit. Oh, if you boys will come by the Shady Breast about this time next year and bring your own jars, I'll fill them up with the best bachelor butter you ever tasted. You can stop rocking, fellas. We're going home.
Good! Hooray! Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
I wouldn't trade my stove for 10 of those fancy cookers with all their doodads and gimcracks.
Oh, Mom, you're just old-fashioned. Mom, we're awful sorry the way everything turned out.
So am I, honey. We could have used that money.
Don't worry. Uncle Joe will come up with something.
Hey! Hey!
Sounds like he already has.
Hey, yeah, that sounds like his Kate, I'm gonna make you millionaire voice.
Hey, I'm gonna make you a millionaire. This letter just come from Mr. Crandall. He sent back the check you returned. He wants you to keep it.
Well, I can't do that.
Sure you can. He wants to make another deal.
My bachelor butter recipe is not for sale.
Oh, he don't want that.
Nor my strawberry preserves, my gooseberry jelly, or my apricot jam.
He don't want them either. He's offering you $500 for the formula to your stove polish.
What?
It says right here in the letter, he never seen anything in clean stoves like this.
Oh, well, shit.
They don't take no picking, no jar shoving, no rocking, no...
All it takes is
Mopping.
Peoticoat Junction.
This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
All aboard! Harvey, you and Minnie ain't engaged, are you? No. You know the rules of the late, late lope. Newt, you and Tessie's been married nearly 30 years, ain't you? Well, you might as well get some enjoyment out of this.
We're not breaking any rules, Floyd.
Say, you two ain't had a fight, have you?
Of course not.
Well, it's sure nice to see our Plout getting along with the Bradley. Kate and your ma, Dan, ought to take peace lessons from you two young'uns. Why, every time they get together, why, they... Harvey! You two ain't secretly engaged, are you?
What makes you ask that?
Well, if you was, you'd be entitled to put your arm around Billy Joe.
You don't think Floyd suspects anything, do you, Billy Joe?
I don't think so. We've been pretty careful.
I sure don't like this sneaking around just to keep my mother from finding out who I'm going out with.
Dan, now I'm not complaining.
I'll show you something.
The ring! Oh, it's beautiful.
Look at the engraving.
From Dan with love. Oh, Dan, you're so sweet.
I'm going to have the wedding date engraved in it, too, right after the ceremony. You want to try it on?
It won't be bad luck?
Of course not.
Oh. It's a little loose, but, well, here, I don't want to lose it.
Well, I'll be
Ladies, I'm gonna have to ask you to do your hollering in a more orderly fashion. Chair recognizes Maggie Gordon.
Ladies of the every other Wednesday afternoon discussion group.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You'd think they'd get tired of eating and eating the same thing after 17 years. I told you there ain't no sleeping on the front porch with all that wind blowing out of the lobby. This peanut butter will just make your tongue stick to the roof of your mouth. It's your roof. horse and a doubting dog.
Now, the next item on the agenda is finding culture in books. This week we're going to hear an interesting review from Selma Plupp. What book you reviewing, Selma?
The same one I've been trying to review the last 3 meetings. Dr. Holbein's Vegetable Gardening on a Budget.
Well, snap it up. The cannonball's almost due.
Did you hear something? The train coming? I didn't hear no whistle. Well, if it is, you ain't going to be able to announce it with a mouthful of peanut butter.
On the first page, Dr. Holbein states...
Oh, excuse me, Selma. Yes, Uncle Joe?
I thought you ladies would like to know.
Oh, the train's in, ladies. Oh, Uncle Joe, what were you going to tell the ladies?
Nothing. Who unstuck your big mouth?
Sorry, Selma. We'll have to postpone your review till the next meeting. Now, we will now adjourn.
Just a second, Kate Bradley. Before we do any adjourning, I've got something to say.
But, Selma,
I'm sick and tired of being cut off every other week right in the middle of my book review just because the train comes in.
But you wouldn't want to keep Floyd and Charlie waiting. They make a special trip out here to pick up you girls.
You wouldn't have to if we was to hold the meetings in my house instead of out here.
But the bylaws state that the meetings are to be held at the house of whoever's Madam Chairwoman.
Yeah, and Kate's been Madam Chairwoman ever since we formed the club.
Then I say it's about time we changed the Madam Chairwoman and the meeting place.
Selma, if you would like to elect somebody else, that is your right.
You don't have to tell me my rights. I'm sick and tired of you lording it over the meetings, pounding that gavel at us, serving us them same stale peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Now, hold on, Selma Plout. If you don't like the way I run the meetings, that's one thing, but don't you knock what I said on my table.
Why, Kate sets the best table in the whole valley.
That's a matter of opinion.
Anytime you want, I'll cook you recipe for recipe and spot you 2 pounds of bicarb of soda.
Well, let me tell you.
Girls, why don't we discuss this at the next meeting?
As far as I'm concerned, there isn't going to be one. Meeting and club adjourned.
That's all the dishes, Mom.
Oh, thanks, girls.
I guess you won't be needing us anymore.
Oh, I guess I will. You two dry, and I'll wash.
How come Bobby Joe got out of helping?
She has to study for an algebra test tomorrow.
Oh, well, I got a test tomorrow, too.
And what?
Jim?
Drying be just the thing to tone up your muscles.
Now, why don't you dry the whole thing?
Division of labor. There are 2 of us. I dry the bottom, you dry the top.
Come on, Betty Joe. Quit fooling around. I've got a date.
Over with.
Dan Plout.
Plout? You said a naughty word.
Oh, no. Just because Selma and I have been arguing for 17 years doesn't mean I have anything against Dan. It's just too bad she's his mother.
I've been going out with him for over a month now. Giving up all your other boyfriends.
Look, if you think...
How can you be so cruel? All those poor boys pining away for your companionship.
Now, see here, infant.
Infant?
Betty, your bottom's wet. No, I think Dan's a very nice boy. I don't have any objections to your going out with him at all.
Neither do I.
Well, thank you. I'll tell Dan.
And if he wants to marry you, you kids have our blessing. Right, Mom?
Well, I think I'll reserve judgment till the time comes.
Mom doesn't want to face the possibility of being kin to Mrs. Plout.
Well, it isn't the most pleasant thought.
It's just like Romeo and Juliet, the Montagues and the Capulets.
A couple of new families moved into the valley.
It's a famous love story, Uncle Joe. Romeo and Juliet were in love and wanted to get married, but their families were feuding.
What'd they do, elope?
They committed suicide.
None of them foreign pictures have a happy ending. Your mom won't let you marry Dan. Why don't you have him get a ladder and put it up to your window and elope?
Thanks for the advice.
That's all right. If you need any help on any other problem, just call on your old Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe, Betty Joe and I do have a serious problem.
What's that?
Well, we can't seem to agree on the best way to dry those dishes. Do you think you could show us?
Sure. You just put the towel in your left hand, Take the dish in your right hand and you dry the top first. And then you can... I knew all the time they just wanted me to dry the dishes for them.
Then dry them. You know, Uncle Joe, Billy's reached the age where marriage is more than a passing thought. And I don't think it's a good idea putting ideas in her head about eloping.
Well, she ain't got much choice the way you feel about Selma Plout.
What gives you the idea that Billy Joe's going to be marrying Dan?
What gives you the idea she ain't?
Oh, that's just a lot of foolishness.
Sure. Ready for another dish.
You know something I don't know?
Depends on what you don't know that I know.
If Billy Joe were planning to marry Dan, I'd be the first to know.
Then how come you don't?
What?
Ain't you noticed the signs?
What signs?
Ever since Billy's been going out regular with Dan, her appetite's been dropping off to nothing. That can only mean one thing. She's in love.
She's been in love before, and she's eating like a horse.
I know, but this proves it's the real thing. Have you noticed how she stares off into space and acts absent-minded, can't remember where she put things?
Billy Joe? She never forgot a thing in her life.
Mom, do you know where my earrings are?
Yeah, they're on your ears.
Isn't that silly?
And the next surefire sign
I've done that same thing myself many times. Doesn't mean anything.
All right, then we'll examine the party of the second part, Dan Plout. Have you noticed how he holds the coat when Billy and he goes out? Or how he opens the door for her?
Well, he's just being polite.
Kate, those are the kind of thoughty things a fella does before he's married that his wife complains that he don't do after he's married.
You're just trying to twist things around to prove something that isn't even a possibility.
Maybe it ain't, but if I was you, I'd make up with Selma and keep peace with Billy Joe's future in-law.
If Billy Joe had any idea of marrying Dan, I would make up with Selma, but she hasn't.
Kate, when Bill was courting you, did he ever do any little special things to ingratiate himself with your father?
Yeah. He used to bring him cigars.
You got a light?
Beautiful day, isn't it, Selma? Huh. Oh, is that a new hairdo? It's very becoming to you. Huh. You know, Selma, I've been thinking about what you said at the last meeting, and you're right. I have been chairwoman too long.
You certainly have.
And confidentially, about those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches of mine, they're not very good.
They certainly ain't.
Well, afternoon, ladies. Which of you is first?
Well, I was here before Selma, but you can go ahead and wait on her, Sam.
I beg your pardon, but I was here before you.
Why, when I was coming through the door, you were halfway. She was here before me.
Don't do me no favors.
I'm not doing you any favors. You said you were here before me, and I'm taking your word for it.
Are you inferring I'm fibbing?
I'm not inferring. I'm saying.
Ladies, there's no problem. I'll wait on both of you. What'll it be, Kate?
Can of pineapple.
Large or small?
Small.
I'll take a large can and a pound of sugar.
I'll take 5 pounds of sugar.
5 pounds.
And a jar of peanut butter.
1 bottle Dr. Smith's stomach soother.
A pound sugar.
You already ordered 5 pounds.
We'll make it 10.
I'll take 20.
I'll see your 20 and raise you a 50-pound sack.
Business sure picks up when you ladies is on the outs. Anything else, Kate?
No, thank you. Just put it on my bill.
I'll pay cash.
Some people have more money than brains.
Now, see here, Kate.
Now, ladies, please, you've been bickering for 17 years. It's about time you shook hands and made up. Oh, come on.
Well, I'm not one to hold a grudge, Selma Plout, so if you're willing to apologize, I'm willing to accept it.
Apologize?
There you are, Kate. She apologized.
I did no such thing. If there's any apologizing to be done around here, she's the one that's going to do it.
That'll be the day.
Well, all the stubborn... Sam, I'll be back later.
I'll never speak to her again, even if my Billy Joe does marry her Dan.
Billy Joe and Dan getting married?
Billy Joe and Dan?
Yeah, of course, it didn't surprise me. I've seen it coming for a long time now.
Well, they certainly have kept it a secret.
No secret to me. Dan asked my permission months ago. Been bringing me cigars ever since.
How does Kate feel about it? How do I feel about it? I don't believe it.
Kate, you gotta face the facts.
Billy Joe would not do a thing like this behind my back.
It's the story of Romeo and Juliet. You see, these two kids wanted to get married and their families was a feuding.
It's not true.
Well, ask Betty Jo.
You mean she knows about Billy and Dan?
No, about Romeo and Juliet. You heard her telling it.
Well, all I know is if they're planning to get married, and I'm not admitting they are, by law, they have to get my permission before Billy Joe can get a license.
That's right. Of course, that law don't apply in this county.
Well, when she was thinking about getting a driver's license, she had to get my permission.
They ain't as strict about driving licenses.
Train set.
How come that four-footed flea factory lets you announce the trains, and every time I try it, he...
Train in? Yes. Didn't you hear Uncle Joe barking?
Howdy, Floyd.
Hi.
Charlie said for you to come down to the train and say hello. I got a note here from Dan for you, Billy Joe. Now, what did I do with it? I know I put it somewhere, don't it? I can't remember.
Floyd, is that it?
Oh, yeah.
Hold the train, Floyd. I've got to go into town with you.
Well, what's the matter?
Oh, nothing, Mom, nothing.
Wonder what was in that note to get her so stirred up.
Well, let's see. It said, must talk to you at once about you-know-what, love.
You know what?
Floyd, you had no right to read Billy Joe's secret love letter.
Well, it wasn't sealed, so I didn't think it was secret.
If it was, you couldn't have kept it.
I can keep a secret better than you can, Joe Carson.
What secret did you ever keep?
Well, I never said nothing about Dan trying the wedding ring on Billy Joe's finger the other night.
Wedding ring?
Wild horses couldn't have drugged that out of me.
Billy Joe, I gotta talk to you.
I can't now, Mom. I got to go into town, and I won't be home for supper. Come on, Floyd.
Billy Joe!
Well, Kate, what do you say now?
I'll do my saying to Billy Joe when she gets home tonight.
We can't take a chance on waiting. Mr. Drucker knows something. You should have heard him dropping all sorts of not-too-subtle hints, like how he performs discount weddings for his friends and how his licenses have rosebuds painted on them.
But he didn't come right out and ask you if you were going to
I didn't give him a chance. But he's liable to say something to my mother, and that'll be the end of everything. And that's why I think the wedding should be moved up.
Well, I think tomorrow would be a perfect date for it.
You riding out with Billy Joe, Dan?
Listen, you don't have to ride back with me. We have to get up pretty early.
Okay. I'll see you at 5 a.m. sharp.
Okay.
Billy Joe there?
No, Billy Joe's in the next room. A ladder. Holy smoke!
Okay, you can move the ladder.
Right.
Wait for me.
Just where do you think you're going?
With you?
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Wake up Mom and spoil everything.
I'm going with you or I will wake Mama.
You do and you'll get it.
If I do, you'll get it.
Betty Joe. Dan.
Let her come. She can be a bridesmaid.
Billy Joe. Billy Joe. A ladder? Oh, my goodness! Uncle Joe! Wake up! Wake up!
Oh, come in.
Uncle Joe, Billy Joe's eloped.
Well, that's no surprise.
But Betty Joe's gone, too.
Now, that is a surprise.
Well, get out of bed and get dressed. We gotta stop that wedding.
But how can you do that? Do you know where they're getting married?
Sam Drucker's. Where else? Sam! Sam! Open up! Open up! Come on, Uncle Joe.
Kate, what's the matter?
Did you marry anybody this morning?
Who'd have me?
Sam, this is serious. Billy Joe has run off with Dan.
Well, she didn't even come to me. Well, I'll never forgive her for that.
Well, if they didn't come here, where would they go?
Probably Will Quigley in Pixley.
Then will you call Will and see if he's married him?
Oh, sure. Come on in.
Oh, those foolish kids. I just hope we're not too late.
Come on, Sarah, answer.
Probably asleep behind the switchboard.
That banana goes in your bill.
Look, I was invited in. I'm a guest.
Joe, if you want to do something, why don't you go and get Selma Plout?
What for?
Because she should know about this, too.
Hello, Sarah, is that you? Well, it don't sound like you. Well, put 'em in. Yeah, that's better. Now you sound like you. Oh, Sarah, could you get me Will Quigley in Pixley? Area code? No, I don't. Do you know the area code for Pixley? No, we don't. Kate. Yeah, I'll tell her. Sarah says hello.
Sam, please.
Oh, Sarah, this is kind of an emergency. No, I don't want the fire department. This is official justice of the peace business. But you'll find out when you listen in.
If we'd taken the handcar, we could be talking to Will in person by now.
Hello, Will? Is Sam Drucker over at Hooterville? Oh, fine. What? Oh, well, it gives me a little twinge now and then, but when the weather's like this, oh, beautiful. The temperature.
Could you give him the weather report later?
Will, the reason I called is on official business. Did you perform any marriage ceremonies this morning? Marriage ceremonies. Marriage. Sarah, close the key, will you? You're pulling all the juice out of the line. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me now? Will, listen, did you marry a fella named Daniel Plout this morning? Thanks, Will. Well, I guess congratulations are in order.
Kate, is it true?
Kate, you want another whack at these smelling salts?
No, thanks. I'm fine.
Kate, I don't know what you're crying about. Dan's a fine boy. He and Billy will be real happy.
It's all my fault. I drove those kids into running away. If Selma and I made up sooner, Billy Joe could have been married formal here in the lobby. I always dreamed of her coming down those stairs wearing her wedding gown.
But Kate, you still got two other girls that are eligible for a lobby wedding.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Uncle Joe.
Betty Joe, where have you been?
To a wedding. Boy, am I starved.
Where's Billy Joe?
Coming up the path.
Uncle Joe, do I look all right?
Hi, Mom. Have you got a room for a honeymoon couple?
My baby.
Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you.
My son.
Mom, there's something you ought to know. We're not married.
What?
Mrs. Bradley, may I present my wife?
Emily Lawrence.
Emily Plout, Mrs. Dan Plout.
Show him your ring, honey.
Yeah, but I thought you and Dan...
That's what you and everyone else were supposed to think. I've been helping Dan plot this elopement for weeks.
Didn't fool me for a minute.
You see, if my mother had known I was going to marry Emily, she would have stopped it. Emily's mother and mine have been fighting for years.
Oh, your mother fights with everybody. She is. I made up with her.
Can we sign the register now?
Uncle Joe?
Mom, what's the matter?
I just got used to the idea of you being married, and now you had to go and disappoint
Peoticoat Junction.
This has been a Filmways presentation.
Come ride the little train that is rolling down the tracks to the junction. Forget about your cares, it is time to relax at the junction. Lots of curves, you bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
There's a little hotel called the Shady Rest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
It is run by Kate. Come and be her guest at the junction.
Peoticoat Junction.
And that's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction. Peoticoat Junction.
Sam? I'm back here sitting tight. Lola ding dong.
Oh, you need some help, Sam?
Oh, thanks, Kate. I'm botching things up pretty good. Always happens when I try to get out an extra. The day Doris Malcolm had her triplets, Lemon got squoze in the press. Party line broke the story before I could get the seeds scraped off of the type.
What happened that called for an extra?
Oh, the Army's moving into the valley.
What army?
The U.S. one.
What for?
Ever see such a mess? The big letters are mixed in with the little ones and the pica type is all...
Sam. What's the Army moving into the valley for?
Well, if I tell you, you promise not to say nothing until I get this story sorted and set again.
Yeah, I promise.
I don't know how long it's going to take me with a mess like this.
Sam.
Oh, they're having war games or something. The Green Army against the Blue Army. By this time, there's soldiers swarming all over the valley.
Where in the valley?
Well, the general said a lot of the fighting's going to take place around the Shady Rest.
Bye. Back to the hotel. I left the girls swimming in the water tank.
Well, there's nothing to worry about.
No. With the girls swimming and the soldiers swarming? Oh, thank goodness the train's still here. What does that sign mean?
Oh, that means the train's been make-believe blowed up. You can't use it.
But I got to. The girls are swimming in the...
Kate, there is nothing to worry about. Now, I was a doughboy in World War I, and we were walking by this pond, and these girls were swimming. Kate. If I was you, I'd start walking. Running.
Hey, you got any idea where we are, Hank?
Listen, I think that we're...
I'll tell you where you are. I'm in charge of this patrol ever since the lieutenant got captured. I outrank you guys. Private first class.
Here, we have to salute him?
Okay, sir, where are we? We're lost. One of us is going to have to take these binoculars and climb one of these big trees and take a look around. Should we give you a boost, sir?
Get ready to move out! Found my suntan lotion.
Hey, good. Rub some on my back.
Okay. Hey, wait a minute. It's my lotion. You rub it on my back.
I've got a feeling we're being watched.
Hey, what's so interesting over there? Hey, that's the property of the U.S. Army. Made in Japan. Wow! And what is like advance and capture? I thought we were supposed to be fighting the Green Army. You fight him. We'll meet you later. Oh, don't move. Should we search him?
What for? Concealed weapons. They aren't concealing anything.
Yeah.
What are you boys doing around here?
Oh, we're a Blue Army patrol. I'm the commanding officer, Private First Class Hank Benton. This is Todd Langwell and Stu Howard.
Hi.
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 Sorry, girls, but you're prisoners of war. Yeah, we'll have to get your name, rank, and telephone number. Hey, anybody else around here?
Just me.
Is that gun loaded, ma'am?
You care to find out?
No, ma'am. We're just looking over the terrain, ma'am.
Oh. Well, you've seen enough of the terrain to be able to draw it from memory. Girls, get in the hotel and put on some clothes.
Oh, but Mom, we're prisoners of war.
Well, that's right, ma'am. We've captured this hotel.
Oh, how could you capture the hotel when I've captured you?
Oh, you see, the way these war games work, ma'am, is that we have 3 guns and you only have 1. Therefore, we have superior firepower. Oh, which means you're captured. Come on, girls.
Hold it.
Oh, Mom, you don't want these poor boys to get into any trouble, do you?
You've got to play according to the rules, ma'am.
Well, that's all right. As long as they're my rules, understand?
That's all right with us, ma'am.
Good. Then let's go into the hotel and talk about the surrender terms over a glass of lemonade.
Hey, come on, prisoners. Oh, boy.
But I still don't understand how you play these war games.
Well, they split us into 2 armies. Now, this is the blue one, and this is the green one. And we're trying to take the valley from the Green Army.
That reminds me of when I was in the big war.
Oh, the Spanish-American War.
World War I. Now, there was a war. There's none of this push-button stuff. We were in a trench right here. The enemy was in a trench there. Sometimes we wouldn't be more than 25 feet apart. I remember one morning looking across no man's land, watching a feller do his laundry.
It was a very clean war. More pie, anybody?
There's nothing clean about it. First 2 months I was in the Army, I was standing in mud so deep I couldn't even move.
6 transports sailed for France before they could get him out. More pie, Hank?
Oh, no, thank you.
Kate, I didn't get all them medals of mine by gold breaking at Camp Yap, Hank.
Oh, well, what camp did you get him for gold bricking at? More pie, Doc?
You can laugh, but I was decorated personal by Blackjack himself.
Hey, General Pershing?
No. Blackjack Kobe. He ran the 21 game in the rest area. How about you, Stu?
No thanks, Mrs. Bradley.
Oh, well, you boys can take this with you when you decide to move on.
Oh, we weren't figuring on moving on. Well, we thought we'd set up an observation post right here.
Best place to do any observing around here is on Spoon and Rock. You see the whole valley.
Spoon and Rock. Well, why don't we all go up and take a look at it? And, you know, we can...
As you were. If there's any co-ed observing to be done, it's going to be done in the lobby.
Oh, but Mrs. Bradley.
My rules, remember? Uncle Joe, I'm going to need your help.
You're not putting me on KP.
It's more like guard duty.
So I slowly crawled through the enemy lines until I come to this barbed wire. So I crawled under it. Well, maybe I climbed over it. Anyway, I got a medal for that act of bravery.
Gosh, you sure got a lot of medals, didn't you, Mr. Carson?
Oh, well,
Maybe Mr. Carson would show them to you.
Oh, no, Mr. Carson's much too modest to show us his decorations.
No, I ain't. You wait right here.
Wait here. Anybody here?
Oh, I'll be right with you, General. By the time I get out this blankety-blank extra, the war games will be over. What can I do for you, General?
How can I get to the Shady Rest Hotel?
Yeah, by train ordinarily, but the cannonball's been make-believe blowed up.
I know, my troops destroyed it.
There's a road, but that's been blowed up, too.
That wasn't part of my battle plan.
It wasn't part of the county road department's plan either. They didn't figure on Luke Seller dropping that dynamite. You could walk the tracks.
I've got a Jeep.
That'd be a mighty rough road over them ties. Of course, it wouldn't be as rough as riding in the cannonball. Rough as riding in the cannonball.
Sergeant Carson reporting.
Aren't you a little early for trick-or-treating?
Remember, Kate? Old Army uniform.
What old army had uniforms like that?
AEF.
Oh. I never noticed those medals before.
Well, I was never a man to brag about my war record.
Yeah, I could understand that.
You know what this is? That's the Croix de Guerre, given to me by a French general.
Isn't that an Iron Cross?
No, fella that sold it to me said, I got medals from all nationalities of generals.
How come you put your uniform on?
To show them doubting GIs my hardware.
Oh.
Say, you ain't seen them and the girls, have you?
I thought you were keeping an eye on them.
They must have ducked out when I was up changing.
You know, if this was a war, you could be shot for deserting your post, and you might be at that. We gotta look for them.
They couldn't have gone far.
The question is, where did they go? Now, we gotta split our forces. You take the water tower. You take the woods. And I'll reconnoiter Spoon and Rock.
Billy Joe, when you're a soldier, you've got to take love where you can find it. Because there may never be a tomorrow.
Oh, I love that picture.
What picture?
The one that speech came from.
Well, now that we're alone,
Hello, everybody.
now that we're not alone.
Bobby Joe, when you're a soldier, you have to take love where you find it.
Because there may never be a tomorrow.
You're reading my mind.
No, I saw that movie with Billy Joe.
Bobby.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
I'm on your side, son. I know how it is when you're a soldier. You gotta take love where you find it, for there may never be no tomorrow.
Sergeant Carson, I saw that picture.
Silent version of the remake.
Hey, there's something coming down the track. I think it's a Jeep.
Holy smoke.
One of those 2 stars mean?
That means it belongs to a general. Come on, we gotta warn the guards.
Sounds like you had a blowout. What outfit you with, Mac?
Mac, I'm General Patterson.
General? Sergeant Carson, sir.
What are you dressed for?
First World War.
That's over. Isn't that the Iron Cross? I'm sorry to tell you this, but your side didn't win.
What's the matter?
Hey, General, if he catches us goofing off here, he'll throw the book at us. Let's go.
It's 2 ladies coming up the path.
We're cooked. Oh, it's the stockade.
Well, Mom, isn't there anything we can do?
Well, why don't you 3 go on upstairs and I'll try and get rid of him.
Yeah, quick.
Oh, this is my niece, Kate Bradley. Kate, this is General Patterson, an old Army buddy of mine.
How do you do, General?
Charmed. Who are these young ladies?
Oh, these are my 3 daughters. Billy Joe, Betty Joe, and Bobby Joe.
How do you do, sir? Hello, sir. Sir.
Miss Bradley, it's a lucky thing none of my men have found this spot. It'd make a wonderful place for goofing off.
Oh, I don't think your men would ever do a thing like that.
I wonder if it would be all right with you if I established my headquarters here.
Sure, make yourself at home. If you'd like to leave your gear in one of the rooms, just help yourself. What's the matter, Kate? We've got plenty of room. There ain't nobody here.
Well, there isn't anybody here, is there?
No, well,
What was that?
What was what?
Whoever you are, come down with your hands in the air. Hey.
They're our sisters.
I thought you only had 3 daughters.
3 downstairs and 3 upstairs. This is Hanky Joe, Jotty Joe, and Stewie Joe.
Do your upstairs daughters always wear army shoes?
Some of your men were kind enough to give them to us poor civilians.
How nice. Attention! Well, as commander of the Green Army, may I say I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, General, but we're in the Blue Army.
What?
Looks like you've been captured, General.
Now, see here.
According to the rules of your war, the boys explained to me, a soldier is a prisoner when he meets a superior force of arms.
That's the rule, sir.
Very well, men. You're prisoner.
How about that, Toddy Joe? We captured ourselves a general.
When I enlisted, they made me a lot of promises, but this is the first one that came true.
Are you sure it's all right for you to be doing this?
Feels all right to me, baby.
Shouldn't somebody be out on guard duty?
Oh, that there's all fixed.
There's milk and donuts in the dining room.
Man, this is the only way to fight a war.
Hold it, line up for inspection. Hands. Bathroom. Bathroom. You're just on the borderline, but you might as well join them and keep them company.
Quiet. I'm on guard duty.
Green Army guys.
All right, you guys, you're prisoners.
What do you mean? We outnumber you. You're our prisoners.
Where are your weapons?
Well,
Hey, fellas, Mom's got some more of the...
We surrender.
Wait a second. We're not taking any prisoners. Get lost.
You got it. Those are the rules.
But we're not armed.
Neither are we. Hello, baby. My name's Jack Bevins.
As you were, Mac. We were here first.
All I was gonna do was give her my name, rank, and serial number.
Well, 2 more for donuts. This way, boys. Hold it.
But, Mrs. Braley, they...
When you are a soldier, you gotta take love where you find it. Well, care to surrender?
Yes, ma'am.
Pack's over there. Rifle's over there. Oh, just a second. Don't forget your check.
Map coordinate 276D. That's D for donuts. And 896G for girls. Yeah, the Shady Rest Hotel. The password is surrender. Man, this is the most. They got donuts, lemonade, girls. That's G for girls, I for indubitably, R for ravishing, L for lovely, and S for surrender. The best food you ever tasted. Yeah, and girls.
Rifle's over there and Rifle's over there and parachutes over there. Where did you? Yeah?
Come on.
What? Oh! Got another load for you, General. Ah, the boys are gaining on you.
Mrs. Bradley, I've had enough of this. You have turned these war games into a USO hootenanny. As far as those 3...
Be careful, General.
Well, when I get through with them, they'll be raking rocks for the next 50 years in Leavenworth.
All they did was capture you.
Well, if they hadn't been goofing off here, this never would have happened. I'm going to court-martial them.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, General.
Miss Bradley, I happen to be a general of the United States Army. Nobody tells me what to do.
Oh, all right. But when those 3 testify that you were doing KP in a lace apron, it's going to get a lot of laughs around the Pentagon.
Try to keep up, Mrs.
Well, so long, men. If you ever get in a similar situation, remember to use my strategy.
You mean like falling asleep on guard duty?
Well, I wasn't asleep. I was just faking. Get them Green Army guys to sneak past me and surrender. Well, I'll be seeing you. Mademoiselle from Armentières, Parley-vous. Mademoiselle from Armentières.
Well, Billy Joe, this is it. was shoving off.
Bobby, when duty calls, a man must answer.
Haven't you got anything to say, Stu?
No, I didn't see that picture. Well, this is goodbye.
At ease. What do you want to do? Lose your good conduct medals?
Good conduct medals? Did the general give you those?
No, I did.
Oh!
Well, thanks, Mrs. Bradley. Let's move out, men. Thanks for all the good food.
Oh, you're welcome. Please come back and see us again.
Anytime you're around, you
Forward!
You're
Mademoiselle from Orange.
Don't forget your ride.
Mademoiselle from Orange.
Well, that's the way it is, girls. The men go marching off to battle.
And the women stay behind. Why?
Somebody has to clean up the mess they left. On the double, forward march.
Peoticoat Junction. This has been a Filmways presentation.